people that I work with, they usually sit on years of experience and knowledge, expertise, mistakes, lessons, insights in their lane. But they have so much knowledge and experience, wins and lessons that they can share with other people that could help them on their path. But those people, for some reason, nobody knows who they are outside of their company, outside of their network. And it's not because they're not good, it's because they're undiscovered or they're invisible. So you're not seen publicly, not because you're not experienced enough, not because you don't have the right title, and again, because nobody knows you exist outside your company or your organization. So today we're gonna do something a little different today. We are actually recording a podcast live. So shout out to my TikTok people. I'm bringing you guys behind the curtain. But today I want to talk about the roadmap I wish someone would have gave me 7 years ago when I got into the podcast game. So if you are new to the channel, you are new to the podcast, if you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on TikTok, what's good? How are you guys doing? So before we jump in today, I want you guys in the comment section, if you guys are on Apple or YouTube or even TikTok, like comment where you're from so I know where you guys are tapping in. As I mentioned, today is going to be a little different. If I mess up, it's all good though. But today, I'm not trying to teach you how to become an influencer. I'm not trying to tell you to quit your day job. I'm not trying to tell you to just have unrealistic expectations when it comes to podcasting. I figured out how to create a podcast, how to generate money, how to leverage your authority without quitting your 9 to 5. And at the same time, I'm not trying to sell you an overnight success story. What I want to share with you is the lessons and the roadmap I wish someone would have gave me 7 years ago when I got into the space. So I really want you guys to share this with a family member or a friend that you think this will be impactful for. And if you guys are tuning in live, again, send me a message if you have questions after this episode. But the people that I work with, they usually sit on years of experience and knowledge, expertise, mistakes, lessons, insights in their lane. But they have so much knowledge and experience, wins and lessons that they could share with other people that could help them on their path. But those people, for some reason, nobody knows who they are outside of their company, outside of their network. And it's not because they're not good, it's because they're undiscovered or they're invisible. And what a podcast does, as we get into, it just amplifies your expertise. So you're not seen publicly, not because you're not experienced enough, not because you don't have the right title. And again, I'll keep on harping on this, is because nobody knows you exist outside your company or your organization. And that's because you never built a platform around what you know. And I'm going to unlock some stuff for you today. As we get into this, I want you to be honest with yourself. You've been thinking about how to leverage your expertise for years, right? But you really haven't had that push. And today, hopefully, I'm able to bridge that gap for you, give you some insight, show you how and what to do. So before we get into that, I kind of want to share with you guys, if you've been tapped in for a while, or if you haven't, who I am, right? So I've been in the podcast space for 7 years now. I'm gone from, hey, quick break. Everything we've been talking about in this episode, this is exactly what comes up when corporate leaders take the corporate income audit. It's a free 5-minute diagnostic I built specifically for directors, VPs, and senior professionals who know they have more to offer than what their salary reflects, but haven't built anything outside their role. So the audit shows you where you are on the corpreneur journey right now. So your expertise score, your leverage gaps, and the specific stage you're in, from trapped expert all the way to leveraged corpreneur. So most people who take it tell me it's the first time they've seen everything in their situation mapped out clearly. Link is in the show notes. Take it during the episode and we'll keep going when you get back. Nothing to helping one of the biggest sports podcasts on the planet. And I broker deals for my clients, 5-figure deals. I brokered partnerships, affiliation. I've generated tens of thousands of dollars through my own personal brand, through a lot of lessons, a lot of trial and error. And hopefully I'm able to share those things with you to kind of give you guys some insight on what to expect, right? And I also helped clients leverage their expertise into opportunities they never thought was possible. right? So once you see it, you can't unsee it. And I made some mistakes along the way. And hopefully I'm able to show and help you navigate those to give you a transformation. I wasted so much money. I wasted so much time, but then again, I didn't because it was all working for me and on me, right? I bought the wrong equipment. I didn't start here. I didn't start with this mic. I didn't start with this camera. I didn't start with this light. I didn't start with this monitor. I didn't start with that light. I didn't start with this couch, right? I didn't start with all of the stuff I have, but I started. And I used to chase the shiny objects and the shiny things, the fads on, Instagram, YouTube. But I learned those lessons the hard way. And hopefully I'm able to share some insight with you so you don't have to. And that's exactly why I coach. I want to be that bridge, right? I want to be a Yoda to Luke Skywalker, right? My goal isn't to impress you by what I'm saying, is to kind of give you some insight on who I am, right? So if you guys are tuning in live, thank you for tapping in and thank you for watching the replay. So my number one goal is to help you avoid mistakes that I made. And I'm not here to say that I know everything, but I have a healthy obsession with podcasting. But I want you guys to think of me like this. I'm your coach. You know what I'm saying? Think of me like Phil Jackson. He wasn't better than Michael Jordan at basketball. Like I mentioned before, I'm like Yoda. Yoda wasn't stronger than Luke Skywalker, right? But they just guided them on the path. And I don't want to be the hero, right? My whole goal is to help you maximize your gift and show you the play, show you the path. That's what I truly want to do. And I get a fulfillment when I do that. So that's how I want you guys to see me. That's my role. I'm the podcast bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm big bro, and I'm not trying to be a hero. I'm just trying to give you the play. So I'm trying to help you overcome my mistakes faster so you can get to where you need to be faster. So let's talk about some of the biggest lessons I've learned in the last 7 years. And they might sound small, but if you got a pen or paper or your notes app, jot these down or re-listen to this if you're listening to on YouTube or Apple. Stop trying to figure everything out by yourself. Everybody, think about it. I just mentioned Michael Jordan. He had a coach. You need a coach to run the play because a coach has different experiences and expertise, right? And I see this all the time. People spend months of researching microphones. Like, you don't need to do months of research, right? You're sitting on the bench. Like with AI today, come on, stop. Stop, like really stop, right? You don't need to spend months researching logos, platforms, just unnecessary stuff, content strategies. Like, you don't need to do that. Like, it's so easy to do with the technology we have, like editing, all those things, right? You can outsource a lot of those things. And with the software we have now, it's so achievable, right? So, and that's why leaders, or if you've been sitting on ideas or starting your podcast, that's the reason why you've never done it, because analysis by paralysis or paralysis by analysis, however you want to flip it. And the truth is, you don't need no more information. You don't. You just need direction. You just need to be consistent. You just need somebody to guide you and show you the path, right? Because it's a lot of noise out there. And most people fail because they don't lack necessarily talent. They fail because they just don't have direction and they don't have insight. And if you're coachable, you can have success. And if you're in any type of leadership role or play sports, you know, a good coach can show you guys direction and plays that you haven't seen, right? So it's always good to have a different perspective. So when I look back on my journey, there are things that I wish someone could have taught me then, but I want to give you guys the play like in a few hours, right? So, and I can. So shout out to I'm having a 1-day mini challenge. I'll share with that. I'll share that information with you at the end of this. But the power of a coach, the power of mentorship is not information, it's transformation, right? It's compression, it's proximity. When Michael Jordan was getting a play from Phil Jackson, it was proximity. What Phil understood and the plays he had years of experience in mastering it. And he condensed it to where Michael Jordan and the team could execute the play, right? So that's lesson number 1, mentorship. Lesson number 2 is your expertise is actually more valuable than what you think. That's why if you're a VP or director, right, a founder, that's why you make the revenue you make. That's why you get the salary you make, right? So I work with executives that make $250,000, right? 150, 175, 300K annually, right? So VPs, directors, founders, some sales leaders, right? Middle management, people leaders, HR leaders, global HR leaders, right? And the conversations that I have with them are very, very similar. They sit on the years of experience, they have it, but no one knows who they are outside of their company. And that's valuable to the company, but it's not valuable to them if they're trying to leverage their expertise outside of their company. And what really blows my mind is that many of them underestimate what they know. Like, man, I don't want that to be a whole episode, but and get into the weeds of that. But they assume that everybody knows what they know, and that's not true because they're in their own bubble. They try to talk this industry jargon, right, to regular people, and it doesn't connect. And they assume their experience isn't special because they feel like everybody knows it, but everybody doesn't know it. That's why they make the big bucks. So I'm here to kind of bridge and connect the dots for you. So they also assume that nobody will listen to them because they don't think it's valuable. But think about that. They're making $250,000, 150, 175, 300 is valuable, right? But in reality, someone is struggling with a problem they've already solved over years. That's the play. So somebody is trying to figure out something like you've already mastered, they already mastered, right? And the difference is that they don't know you exist. But somebody needs your perspective, right? Just like you need my perspective on how to start a podcast, how to run the play, right? You need that. You need that roadmap to not make those mistakes. You need that transformation fast. So the issue isn't that they don't have the expertise. The issue is that they never packaged it correctly, right? So when you're trying to talk to someone that doesn't speak the language and you're talking high level and you don't frame it in a way to where you can give that individual a transformation. And so you're just talking over their head, right? And you never shared it consistently. So you might had a one-off, a speaking engagement, but after that, nobody heard from you, right? That's because you haven't built a platform. You haven't built authority around it. You haven't showed up consistently. And because of that, opportunities will keep passing you by because you aren't found. You need to be findable. People need to know you exist. All right. And so lesson 3, this is the biggest out of my lessons. Relationships are very valuable. Relationships are more valuable than content. And this one changed everything for me, literally. Like I got my first start in podcasting from a relationship, right? And most people think podcasting is about content. It is in a way, right? But it's more so relationships. And the reason why I say that is that I had a relationship with people that brought me in because I was showing up consistently, but I had a relationship. And the content is a byproduct of the relationship. So the real value is the relationship. And some of the biggest opportunities I've ever received came from conversations, came from pre-established relationships to where I already fostered that connection and showed up consistently. And so when I was recruited, it was already established because I showed up consistently as who I am. So from there, from relationships, you get guests, you get opportunities, you get introductions, you get partnerships, right? You get affiliation deals, you get collaborations, right? You get so many opportunities establishing a relationship, even referrals. Those are the best type of relationships when you can get referrals and even advisory opportunities, coaching opportunities, because you have relationships. And I've seen this speaking engagements, speaking opportunities because you have relationships. And the content opened the door though, right? But you got to have the relationship with your audience or individuals first, right? Over time. And just know that the relationships create the opportunity. The consistency and relationships create the opportunity. So that's why I tell people all the time, it's just one of those things to where it works hand in hand. And a podcast isn't just a content strategy. It's a relationship strategy. Let that sink in. It's a relationship strategy. And when you understand that, everything changes. Like literally everything changes. Obviously there's work you have to do, but that's the biggest takeaway, that section in relationships. And the next one is number 4. Your resume, if you're in the corporate world, you look for a job, you have a job, your resume is not enough anymore. Like it's not, I've been in talent acquisition, I've been in recruiting, I looked at hundreds of resumes. That's not the play anymore. And I want you to think about this. Like if someone were to Google you and look up your name right now, what would they find? That's a question. What would they find if you were Google? Would they find your ideas? Would they find your expertise on display? Would they see you showing up on different platforms talking about your expertise or your experience? Would they find your thoughts? Would they find your stance, or would they find nothing? Would they find, if they looked on LinkedIn, your title, right? Cool. But if they can't find anything outside of that, man, that's only powerful inside your company. And for years, we've been taught to build resumes, and that's not the play, right? Because it's tracked by AI anyway, right? So yeah, I could go on. They're important, but they're not the play, right? So resumes just kind of, that they have that's done, but resumes don't get you hired in 2026. I promise you, they won't. Not at a high level. Platforms will help get you discovered, and platforms will help you get invited. Platforms will help you get remembered, right? When you have your platform, platforms will create options for you. So if you want optionality, if you want to leverage your expertise, right, and work, when you want to work 4 to 5 hours a week, you get leverage because you have a platform. And in today's world, options matter more than anything, because layoffs, they're happening right now. They happen, and they will continue to happen as we continue to adopt new technology. Companies, they're going to restructure. They're trying to save their bottom line. They're trying to get more profits, right? Leadership changes, right? You might have a new leadership regime come in, and they might, hey, cutting off heads, right? And the market is going to shift. So your platform becomes career insurance when you look at it from that standpoint of having leverage right there, right? You have that optionality if you want to continue to work for that organization, or just go full time into your podcasting, consulting, advisory, right? So that's the play that everybody needs to run. And you don't have to be a Mr. Beast. You don't have to have these huge platforms to really generate revenue. Maybe this is for a different episode, but you're really creating opportunities outside your company so you can leverage that. And that's the real play, right? Which leads me to the biggest lesson. Well, I said the last one was the biggest, but this is the biggest one of them all, is you don't need to quit your job. Don't quit your job. Do not quit your job trying to podcast, because you're actually more powerful when you have your role, because networking, you have accessibility, you have a leveraging your current title, you have just different networks. So it's always easier to start your platform outside of, or alongside your job, right? And one of the biggest myths online is that success requires walking away from everything. That's not for everybody, right? People that did that, maybe they had a backup plan, their spouse had a surplus of funds coming in. I don't believe that, right? Not in today's world. Not in today's world. You can't do that, right? So the people I work with are talented professionals, founders, even like middle management too. And they're smart because they're building their platform while keeping their day job, their 9 to 5. It's so smart to do that. And it builds up a callus or capacity while you still have that stability to fund your optionality in the future, right? So the people I work with, they're building influence while continuing to grow professionally. As I mentioned before, like they balance it all, and it only makes them better at the end of it. So if and when they're ready to leave, they have the capacity to turn up, turn down, whatever they want to do. And the whole goal is to create optionality. And the goal is to stop relying on your 9 to 5, right, as the only source of revenue, money, authority, right? The goal is to, in 2026 and moving forward, is ownership. You got to own something, right? Which is a platform. You have to own it, or rent it, right? Like this, everything could be gone, right? All these social platforms could be gone. But if you have a platform, right? If you have a community, if you have a message that resonates with a specific demographic, if you have a network that's tapped in, right? If you have a congregation online, a tribe online, and they believe in you and they've seen you show up consistently, and it's powerful. And that's why I'm hosting a 1 day challenge, right? That's what I wanted to invite you guys to. So I just want to give it away. I wish I can give all of this away for free, and I am, but I don't want you spending years trying to figure out what I've spent 7 years figuring out. And in this challenge, I'm going to show you exactly how I would start if I were to start all over again today. And I'm going to be able to show you, what mistakes to avoid, what to do, how to leverage your message, how to identify your message, how to package your expertise, right? How to stay consistent with a full-time, role, job, priorities, family, how to launch a podcast, how to build a real platform while navigating everything, right? How to create or document, I want to say create, how to document content that actually matters, right? Just not just throwing up stuff just to be throwing up stuff, but just how to be impactful and intentional with your documentation, right? And I want to show you how to use and build relationships through podcasting, how to turn your expertise into opportunities. As I mentioned before, speaking, communities, consulting, advisory, right? How to do all of this without quitting your job. That's the play and that's the value. So if you guys are tuning in live or watching on the replay, join the school community, right? And I guarantee you in this one day, you will definitely have the roadmap on what to play and how to run it. This is not theory. This is from experience and hard lessons. This is not motivation. You've been sitting on this, thought for a minute, but a lot of stuff has gotten in your way, right? This is a literal roadmap to show you how to run it. And it's not going to be for everybody, right? So learn these lessons that it took me 7 years to learn, and learn it in one day. And you need to see how the play will impact you and your family long term. Now, I'm not going to sit up here and say it's going to be easy, but it's simple if you run the play, right? You've been sitting on the expertise and experience and the ideas that deserve to be shared. Like you're doing your audience, you're doing your network a disservice, your gift that God gave you, the experience that God gave you, and you're not sharing it. So what I want you guys to do, if you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening on Apple, Spotify, shoot me a message, right? If you're watching on TikTok, shoot me a message, right? Send me a DM, drop platform in there. You know what I'm saying? So I know that you guys were on this live and that I know that you listened to this episode. This will be going down June 20th. It's already on my calendar. It's already in the school community. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, tap in with me. But this is for you. Run the play. Let's go. Come on.